Okay guys, so I'm just shooting a short video today. It actually goes for 5 minutes, which is just demonstrating some articular rotations for your joints to help to warm them up and get them ready for any sort of gymnastics training. Generally, we'll start with shoulders and doing the double arm circles both ways, 10 in each direction, and then I like to go to the single arm circles as well. With the single arms, you can kind of ramp it up a little bit, get them going a little faster, and you feel a few little clicks and cracks and things along the way. But overall, it all should sort of smooth out the more often that you do these types of actions. After shoulders, moving on to elbows. So elbows is probably a bit unusual for a lot of people to think about rotating around the elbow joint, but it's done very commonly in gymnastics. So rotating through the elbow joint and just trying to isolate it is what we're trying to do here. So again, just 10 rotations in each direction. And again, just sort of feeling out if there's any restrictions as you're warming up. Next, moving on to the wrists. So with the wrist circles, you're linking your fingers up together and then you're sort of trying to keep your palms close to each other. And then circle the hands around the wrist with the greatest amount of movement that you can get, both directions again, sort of 10 each way, and then you can repeat that to do 2 sets. Moving down to the hips now. So with your hip circles, what I always like to try and do is circle my hips as widely as possible around my base support. So that's my feet. So really pushing out to all sides and right through the front and right through the back. So really just trying to find your tight spots and move through those to try and loosen things up. And again, I normally get a few little clicks and cracks happening, but nothing that's painful. It's just sort of getting out all the air in the joints. Moving down to the knees next. So again, sort of knees similar to elbows. You probably don't think about rotating through your knees, but knees do have the ability to rotate and move a little bit left and right. So it's important that we actually circulate the knee joints around, again, just to maximize the movement and get the joint articulations sort of greased up for movement. Coming down to ankles, so just some ankle circles, rolling the ankle around the foot through the toes. So I like to curl my toes over as well and get a little bit of pressure down through the toes to sort of warm up the whole foot. So ankle all the way through down to the joints in the toes. And again, 10 circles each direction, and then you can sort of repeat that, or you can move down to a seated version. So with the seated version, you're really isolating the ankle again and just letting the foot relax this time because you're manually moving the foot around the ankle with your hand. And again, just trying to find any tight spots that you might be feeling through your ankles. So you can sort of do these, quickly, or you can sort of slow them down. It's up to you in terms of the speed of the rotation and what feels best for you. So again, if your ankles are quite stiff, you might want to sort of move them a bit more slowly. Otherwise, just sort of rotating at a speed that feels comfortable for you. Moving back up now to the neck. So what I like to do firstly with my neck usually is just do a stretch either side with a little bit of a tilt forwards too sometimes. Just again feeling if there's any tightness through my neck and down into the top of my shoulders. I'm tucking my other arm just behind my back, so it's sort of sitting across my lower back to secure that shoulder. So I generally feel a bit more stretch when I do that. And then chin on chest here. So trying to push your shoulders down and your shoulder blades down your back through to your hips and lengthen out through the back of your neck. So I sort of try to pull up as I pull down, pull up with my skull and pull down through my shoulders to increase that range of stretch. And then just letting the head hang back. So we don't tend to do this a lot in life in general, is, lift our head and let it fall backwards. So I think it's good to try and investigate the range of movement that you have with your head going backwards. And of course, when we're holding a handstand, that's the movement we need to have, the head tilting back to look down at the floor. And then lastly, just coming back to shoulders again, just some shrugs forwards and backwards. And again, just sort of assessing if there's any sort of tight spots throughout the movement. And then pretty much when I get to the end of shoulders, I feel like I'm sort of ready to go.